didn't write a cold open. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Talk About Tatooine. I'm Andrew.
I'm Nathan.
We're twin brothers here to bring you what's new in nerddom and give colorful commentary on our favorite subjects. Welcome to our cantina. Grab a drink and settle in as we set course for realities beyond our own.
Are we seriously at episode 114 already?
114.
Guys, today's recording date is May 9th, and this episode will be released on Monday, checks calendar furiously, May 12th. Today we're going to be discussing Andor Season 2.
Not gonna lie, I fully predicted we were going to get a bunch of trailers from Star Wars Celebration on Star Wars Day, May the 4th, or even Revenge of the 5th, or Revenge of the 6th if you're nasty. I mean, both seem to work, and we didn't get anything. I'm like, dang, guys, you made me look real dumb. I mean, I kind of have no trouble doing that on my own, but here we are.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Okay, so we're talking about episodes 4, 5, and 6, which is weird because episodes 7, 8, and 9 just came out, and I'm like, I want to talk about that, but now I got to talk about this. Okay, so what the fuck is up with Saw Gerrera? Unfortunately, he is just as crazy as he is right. Not the killing civilians part, but when Saw has a hunch, he is usually correct. I've been watching through Rebels, which happens at the same time as some of these Andor episodes, and in Season 4, Saw makes his reappearance, specifically to tell Mon Mothma that her radical exit from the Imperial Senate isn't radical enough. He also follows intel that leads him to a freighter hauling massive chunks of Kyber from Jeddah. This is around 3 BBY. And in my head, I'm just like, it's all coming together, baby.
And we know that goes super well because don't they overload that giant Kyber crystal?
Yeah, they end up blowing up the whole thing. And because the Imperials are stupid, especially their officer corps, they're like, we should probably make sure that container ship is nothing weird's going on. So they park their Star Destroyer right next to it. And it blows up their whole Star Destroyer. Episode 4. Ever been to Gorman? None of my accents are going to be correct this episode. This is great.
Yeah, you don't have to try accents if you don't want to.
You're like, shut the fuck up.
Respectfully, of course.
1 year later, Cassian and Bix are now working for Luthen directly. They're his agents, and they're also squatting in his safe house on Coruscant. But Bix is still grappling with past traumas, specifically terrifying dreams where she's seeing hallucinations of Dr. Gorst interrogate some Imperials that her and Cassian had actually just killed the mission before.
Yeah, so we got some pretty dark stuff coming up, but I do really enjoy that over the course of even the beginning of these first 4 episodes, we actually see that season 1 took place over a very short amount of time. Only a couple of days, maybe like a few weeks max, depending on how long the prison sequence took. However, we are seeing in season 2 that we're actually spanning several years of time as we get closer to that BBY0 number. I don't necessarily have a preference for either, but I do appreciate the juxtaposition of the two pacings for these different seasons. I just like that they're different.
Senator Mon Mothma tries to help the people of Gorman through politicking in the Senate while coming to grips with her new family arrangement, i.e., her family is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, she's not super stoked about how her daughter is now married off to a family that she wasn't really excited to be married into. And if you guys haven't really caught the gist of her relationship with her husband, they don't really hang out all that much. They operate in different social circles. They're married by rule of law, but functionally, I don't think they care too much for each other.
No, they do not. Cyril Karn is being gross as always and is basking in the glow of middle management over on Gorman. Oh, also, he is being used as rebel bait by his girlfriend, Dedra. Gross. Can we get a gross in the chat? Because their relationship is disgusting.
Yeah, it's super cringy.
Willman finds himself working for Saw Gerrera, the gas sniffer, and using his technical expertise to slice their way into oil pipelines. Sounds not dangerous at all.
One thing that strikes me about Andor is that they are starting to dive into more like adult themes. They are shipping more of these characters like we see with Cyril and Dedra, so that's super fun, even though their relationship is kind of weird. We also get to see the relationship of Bix and Cassian continue to play itself out, as well as their Imperial counterparts, who now we know canonically only have sex with the lights off. And I think that's really funny. He comes back and he's like, I only have 3 hours. And she's like, fine, turn the lights off. And I'm like, oh, damn. Sorry, Cyril.
Yeah, so she's getting down to business immediately, which I'm like, these two would make terrible parents.
You
Go to
don't need to be
therapy.
that clinical about lovemaking.
Yeah. It's so many problems. There's so many problems.
Oh, yeah. That being said, I also enjoy how human or like really technical, like meaning how like flawed our heroes are here. Andor is veering away from our protagonist being a morally perfect farm boy who is destined to save the galaxy. No, our heroes have insecurities, drug problems, other substance abuses. They get scared. They experience heartache, all of these things that make them so much more real. And I'm really enjoying it. We mentioned in our review of Andor season 1 way back when that we wanted Star Wars to be more real. We wanted it to get dark. We wanted it to get real. And Andor is giving us that specifically.
We're really getting everything we wanted out of Andor, for better or for worse, because some of the episodes are really difficult to watch without spoiling anything. I have watched episodes 7, 8, and 9, and we usually go back and I'll usually rewatch any episode at least once before I write my final notes. I haven't gone back to those yet because it was so emotional. It was hard to watch.
Agreed. It really pulls at your heartstrings in a lot of different ways, builds a lot of sympathy and empathy for those characters.
Just a real quick recap of episode 5. Cassian goes undercover on Gorman as Varian Sky to meet the Gorman front and is unsuccessful. This is weird. It's very odd that Cassian goes somewhere and is so unsuccessful and fails at something, because we just never see him do that. He's able to overcome the odds for absolutely everything until he meets some more rebels and they're like, I don't know, like the advice you're giving we're not really down with. And he's just trying to keep them safe. He's like, you guys are not ready for this. Don't do this. I'm not recommending you move forward, at least not right now or at this tempo. And they're like, what if you got bent? Perhaps.
Methinks you messed up. Yeah, so I agree. It was weird to see Cassian go in and not be successful to meet the Gorman front. But the entire time he was there, I'm like, does he know that Cyril is maybe a couple 100 meters away from him at any given time? I'm like, you guys are in the same plaza. And it shocked me really that they didn't have a catching of eyes moment where Cyril realizes, oh, shoot, Cassian is here and this gets real. They ignore it completely. They put him on the planet and they're like, nah, don't look at me like that. I don't want to see it. What are you doing? Stop blinking at me. I haven't watched the next couple episodes yet.
I can't say.
Yeah, but you did with your eyeballs. You piece of shit.
I have seen the future and I know what it holds. Ironically, Cyril ends up getting his office tossed by the ISB, and given his past history, essentially his record with Prelox Morlana security, ends up being the perfect person to ingratiate himself with the members of the Gorman front. They're basically like, you seem like you'd be upset with the Empire, which is technically correct. It does seem like he would be upset with the Empire because they are also one of the reasons why he lost his career. Like, it wasn't Andor's fault that he lost his career. It sort of was, but it was also the ISB who were like, you guys are done because you were inept. Like, you couldn't do your jobs well. Like, yeah, there's a lot of people to blame. Cyril being one of them, the ISB being another. But like, Cyril doesn't seem to, he doesn't really ever take personal responsibility. He doesn't say, yeah, I messed up, I should have done better. He goes, no, I did everything perfectly, and it's the criminals who are wrong. And then the system, kind of bags him on the tail end of that, and he's like, no, it's still Cassian's fault because he's a psychopath, remember? Like, he's just like focused on two people, Cassian and Dedra, with a creepy intensity.
I will say, hopefully we can all agree Diego Luna looks really, really well dressed when he goes to Gorman as the fashion designer. I'm just saying, well done, sir. Well done.
I wanted to bring something up real quick. In your watching of episodes 4, 5, and 6, was there ever a moment where you thought that Cyril might actually switch sides?
No, I like the entire time he's getting his office swept. My thoughts was, okay, he's just building his case so that they can do something. Like he's so in love with Deidre and the rule of law. Like this guy would do anything for the Empire, and for him to turn would be like Deidre would have to outright betray him at this point for him to turn against the Empire. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think that's going to happen in this series. That would be crazy. And you're not giving me any weird looks, so I don't think that's happened in the next 3 episodes either. So there's that, which is good. But there's
Or
something
maybe I have a
awful.
good poker face. Jeez.
You do not have a good poker face, not even a little bit. So no, I don't think. I think I very much was like, yeah, they're using him as bait. I thought it was a little weird, but also I was like, yeah, he's doing a really good job being mad because somebody went through his office. But I'm like, everything he does there, he doesn't care about being at Gorman. I think he even is lying to his mom, which is weird because he has a really strange and relationship with his mom that we're not going to unpack here. But I think he's even lying to her because he's very like when he's talking to her on the phone, he's like, "Oh, I like my position. I have status here." And she's like, "No, what are you talking about? Like, you're insane. This is middle management. Like, this doesn't matter." And he's like, yeah, it does matter because he knows the whole time. He's like, Mom, I'm actually an ISP plant, but I can't say that because I'm undercover, obviously. And there are listening devices around, and whether or not those were planted there on purpose or not, he has to put on a show no matter what.
And he's getting like a sick amount of satisfaction between like, oh my gosh, I actually work for the ISB. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's pretty gross, but that is all right. I mentioned this in our Discord because as we're going through and we see Clea picking up chatter about the cover that's like getting blown and all this, she is using a soundboard. And we see the soundboard get used many, many times. Shout out to the 1/4-inch cable here for the props department, absolutely carrying the team here. I posted that in Discord and everyone was like,
Yep.
oh my God, that's a guitar cord. And I was like, yeah, like it totally works. They are just the props department's doing a fantastic job. The doors, the consoles, all the lights and everything, the inside of the TIE Avenger, it all looks so good. Seriously, well done, Lucasfilm.
And I mean, a lot of our listeners probably have plugged in a 1/4-inch cable at some point in their life. It's got a good tactile feel to it. It's got the right girth for a cable. And a nice
what he
click
meant
at
to
the
say,
end.
folks, is that it slides in real nice. Yeah.
I don't know
If
how much of
that
that is going to make the
sounds
final
gross
cut.
to you, then it should, because that's what he was intending.
I say gross things because I mean them. A lot is kind of so these have to be the slowest episodes so far. I mean, we've only watched we've only reviewed 6 episodes, including these 3. These episodes are, I would say, significantly slower than the first 3, but they're not less interesting. I keep seeing a lot of people in the podcast scene who are doing takes on Andor, and I found one where it was this one guy who was basically like, Andor's not that good because it's too slow. And the 2 guys on the podcast with him, and I don't remember what podcast it was, they basically ripped into shreds. They're like, are you a little baby who can't like focus for even a hot second? And the other guy was like, where's all the character development? And they're like, you are so stupid. Like, this entire thing is character development. And basically, because it wasn't like blaster shots the whole time, they're like, dude, do you need your iPad time? Like, what's going on? Like, hey, attention span. Like, it's okay for things to just be talked out. And like, I'm right there with them. Like, I loved these episodes. I do not think they need to change. This is background and information we need for the story to progress in a logical fashion.
There we go. Needed to switch over. My bad. I was pressing spacebar and it was just moving over. So
I saw your little cursor on the document move over, and I was like, oh, he doesn't know where his cursor is.
yeah, that's my bad. So, one thing that explains the pacing for these is when we go through episodes 1, 2, and 3, we have multiple different story arcs all happening at the same time. In episodes 4 and 5, Mon Mothma's storyline is almost completely absent in those 2 episodes. She doesn't come back until episode 6. So, yes, obviously the pacing is going to feel off because now they've removed that story arc from those 2 episodes, but they're bringing it back, right? They're letting it play out in other ways because we know that time has passed. The subtext and the settings and all of that is going to tell us that things are still happening, but it doesn't need to be explicitly shown. That's what makes this show so great, is they're telling so much story per scene and cut of the episodes. It's so good. Do we want to move into episode 6 now?
I think the only other thing worth talking about in episode 5 is that we see Bix is chemically medicating with Spice. She basically has no other recourse to get these images out of her head because she's having, I would describe, severe PTSD symptoms, and she needs something to get over it.
I can't wait until we talk about how that resolves itself in episode 6. Not the drug part, but some of the PTSD. We also see
catharsis.
Yes. We also see that Willman starts to realize that Saw is really messed up in the head. And this kind of broke my heart a little bit because Willman basically gets initiated because Saw is like, hey, teach my guy over here everything you know. I'm pretty sure he's a plant. Gets him to reveal some information. That information gets leaked. The only person Saw has told was the plant, and he shoots him. So now Willman is his guy. He's like, cool, you're going to help us or you're going to die too. It feels bad because Saw is so much older, and Willman just very much feels like a young revolutionary who is here for the cause, and he just seems like he's easily swayed here. And Willman is basically huffing Rido by the end of the episode. He's like, hey man, all these fumes, let it in, man. Just let it in.
Well, and Saw does a really persuasive job of convincing Willman about like, hey, like you need to get into the fight more. You need to essentially be with us more. And Willman, remember, is out a father figure. Season 1, his father was tortured and basically killed by the ISB, right? Like, I don't think he survived the headphone torture by Dr. Gorst.
No, it's pretty tragic. I mean, we see him even throw a pipe grenade in the end of that season during the funeral scene.
I cast pipe bomb.
Magic missile.
I cast regular missile. Let's talk about episode 6 a little bit.
What struck me interesting about episode 6 is that by the time we get here, we realize that Luthen is not nearly the main character that he used to be. And that's really interesting to me. I'll talk a little bit more about how I'm really liking how Clea is coming around a little bit more. But we do see Cassian specifically confront Luthen after he tries to recruit Bix. And that is an uncomfortable conversation. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a really intense conversation to the point where I'm like, is Cassian going to shoot Luthen? Because his main concern is Bix. It really is Bix, then the rebellion. He's got to curb some of the things I know because I know things.
Well, so I'll put some more of my thoughts in then.
Sure.
Which Luthen calls out Cassian immediately on this. He's like, I asked you at blaster point, mind you, if you were in or if you were out. You told me you were in. So the fact that you're alive right now means that you are supporting the rebellion, not your girlfriend. And that's a tough pill to swallow. So thanks for not spoiling anything for me. I appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. And at the end of season 1, we have to remember that Andor does not leave Ferrix with Bix. He loads Bix onto a ship with Brasso and then goes to seek out Luthen. So he gives his priorities to Luthen right at the very beginning. And then when he comes back, he's like, oh, but my priorities have shifted over time because like him and Bix have really like reunited. They are 100% in love at this point, which is great to see. I love love. Love to see it, especially with two characters that are not crazy fascists who were,
Oh, 100%.
ugh, yuck. Bix and Andor are great together. Bix and Cass forever. Except we know it's not going to be forever. Watching uh watching this
Sorry,
season.
I just gave you a look that was like, what do you mean it's not going to be forever? And I'm like, oh yeah, the main character dies.
So I essentially had that exact conversation with my wife when we were watching. She's like, wait, Cassian lives at the end, right? And I go, oh, I know it's been a while since we watched Rogue One, but he does not make it in the end. And she goes, oh crap, I forgot. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
It reminds me very deeply of The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2.
You shut the fuck up.
The Latin men are hurting my heart, okay?
Are you all caught up on The Last of Us?
I am, yeah.
Okay, we should have riffed on that at the Patreon.
Next
short.
episode, we're going to talk about Last of Us in the Patreon exclusive.
It's going to be great, unless things turn really weird in next week's episode, and it's going to be like, I don't know. I don't know where it's going. I haven't seen it. So I really, back to the prop of all props, the soundboard and the listening station inside. What are you doing?
Visually stimming because I can see my nose moving across my microphone.
God, you're so weird. Okay, so Clea, she's got the soundboard to end all soundboards. Her little like disc that she puts her hand on, and it like does the clicks like every degree. Perfect. I would very much like to touch that prop, not in a weird way, but
don't say it in a weird way, brother. I just want to touch it. It's not weird, but I do want to really touch that thing. Sir, please keep your hands off of the props.
Okay, but this is actually relevant to the conversation. So Clea, because she's got bugs everywhere, she hears of the bug in Skulden's art room in one of her artifacts. And my first thought was like, I was like, oh crap, Clea and Luthen sold Skulden a fake something or other. They are now getting found out and everything is about to come crashing down. But it's actually not the case because the artifact that they bugged was real and it was a different artifact that they found out was a forgery. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. And then Skulden's like, we're checking everything. And I go, crap.
Big props to the videographers in that party scene. Because the amount of times they cut back to Clea and she's still trying to absolutely wrench that bug out. I'm like, just pull it out already. The amount of suspense in that scene is crazy. They cut back to her so many times, and I was stressed. Also, the whole time, Lonnie being an unhelpful twat, and she's like, move to the left, and he stays there. Move to the left, and he stays there every time. I'm like, dude, help him out. I'm like, yeah, you're being weird right now because you're standing as stiff as a board. And she's asking you to move very kindly with the face, but she has that intensity in her voice where she's like, if I could stab you right now, I would. But like, 100%. I need people to see my face from far away and maybe think something positive, but I'm going to murder you. And that's how I felt. I was like, I'm going to murder Lonnie because he's not moving. Like, dude, be a team player. He's like, I'm going to pansy out. I'm not going to do this. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude,
I don't want to be here. I don't want to. It's like, it's too late, dude. Move to just move a skosh, just a little bit. Lonnie, for once in your life, stop choking. You're choking right now, and I need you to move to your left just a little bit. See how your feet have not moved from where they were a second ago? Lonnie, move your feet.
It impressed me that she was not sweaty by the end of this, because in this situation, I would be sweating buckets if I was trying my hardest to turn something and exert a ton of grip strength on something, and I couldn't get it out. Dude, I'm trying to pull a bolt out of the engine of my car sometimes, and I'm like, all right, I know how hard I need to push on this bolt right now to get it to come off, and I know I'm going to smack my hands on the inside of the engine when it breaks loose, and it's going to hurt, and you just do it. And sure enough, I'm sweaty and my hand's bleeding. But the fact that she is like calm, cool, and collected, this really makes me love Clea. She is taking a huge role in this season 2 compared to season 1. I mean, honestly, to the point where I think she's the main intelligence focus. Access might be Luthen, but she is the motor that keeps him going.
It's the Clea show. It really is. It's interesting because Luthen has almost taken like an administrative role as far as like giving missions and all these different things, but Clea is like, I am actually the one doing the work here, even to the point of setting Luthen aside when she tells him of the bug, and he starts to blame her, and he goes, and she is like, she's not having any of it. She's like, you shut the hell up. You agreed with this. You don't get to back out now. And he's like, bruh, 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 bruh. She's like, shut up. It really was it like Luthen has Luthen has the right philosophy and all these different things, but without the actual grit of Clea, he would not succeed.
100%.
She's great. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but when she is trying to remove the bug and she's like yanking on her improvised brooch tool thing, it's actually cut into her hand and there is blood seeping out of her fist.
No, I did not see that. That's so metal.
Metal. I'm such a baby. Like, if something cut into my hand, I'd be like, oh my goodness, this hurt. Maybe we just leave the bug in there. What? It's like,
just find out that I'm a rebel and you can just kill us all. This is too much.
How does your cover get blown? I got an owie.
I need a Band-Aid.
Krennic, sir, can I have a Band-Aid?
How did you cut yourself?
I was trying to pull out this bug. I mean,
Whoopsie doodle. It's like, wait, the one that Lonnie saw you take out? Wait, Lonnie, why are you leaving? Get back here.
Coming up next here, guys, we go back to Gorman, and Vel and Cinta are deployed to Gorman to aid the nascent rebel cell. This goes about as well as possible, considering the rebels were super unprepared and have no idea what they are doing. And it drives me nuts. The whole time, Vel is just sitting there being like, please pay attention. Please pay attention. Please follow instructions. Hey, do the thing I'm asking you to do. And just the whole time, they're like, no, we want to do this other thing. And she's like, it's the Empire. They have guns and tanks and TIE fighters. You need to be cool about this because you don't know what you're doing. So we get into these scenes, and Disney's unfortunately doing a good job at getting us emotionally hooked on these characters. Cinta's been gone this whole season. She shows back up. They're gonna like get everything rolling again. There's a spark of hope in Vel's eyes, and she gets killed by a discharging blaster on accident. Like, are you kidding? You weren't even supposed to have that. You were specifically requested to not be having a weapon, and you did, and now Cinta's dead.
Yeah.
Why do you got to do it like that?
Giving Cinta such a unimportant death scene, like her death is not even shown on camera. She's literally killed by lawless ineptitude 5 minutes after it's mentioned by director Krennic on a different planet, like 5 minutes before.
It was really hard to hear that, and usually foreshadowing takes a little bit longer, but that was some pretty immediate foreshadowing.
I mean, it was so quick. You're like, why did he say it like that? And then it happens, and you're like, oh. Even in season 1, like, Cinta was always one of my favorite characters. She's so cold and calculating, and every time the squad needs just like a little bump forward of like, remember why we're here, Cinta is there to provide that foundation. And so it's going to be really difficult to see how Vel is going to develop and almost survive without the love of her life.
I mean, I didn't do anything wrong here, but I felt like I was getting in trouble when Vel grilled that guy in the back of the carrier. Like, I cannot imagine how everybody else felt. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to die of shame because she is grilling him so hard right now. And that is a good monologue. That is one thing Andor is not without, is excellent, thought-provoking, and emotional monologues. So good.
I'm really excited to see how the series finishes out. The Ferrix anvil keeps bringing us closer and closer and closer to the beginning of Rogue One, and Like, so many people have had to sacrifice for the Empire to get taken down. And I think that's probably the biggest theme is like rebellions are built on hope, but they're also built on sacrifice.
Thankfully, we do end out episode 6 with Bix getting her revenge. And in classic cool guy fashion, neither of them look at the explosion. And she gets some very, very good justice here. Puts the music on, like slaps those headphones on, straps him down, and is like, cool, your last moments on this planet are going to be in agony. Holy cow. To finish out, I think Tony Gilroy had a different prompt here for this movie. We thought it was write a Star Wars story about Andor, and Tony was given write a revolution story in the setting of Star Wars.
I think it's interesting, and I think it's really good that we have these really heavy stories because there's a dynamic contrast with the amount of Star Wars content that we're getting, that some of it is really, I would say, happy and cheerful. Like, this does not have the vibe of like Skeleton Crew at all, and it's not really meant to. And I think that's okay. And I think the people who complain like, oh, like this is too dark, this is too political. It's like, first off, it's called Star Wars. War is terrible, and if you have forgotten that, now is a good reminder to face that fact that war is terrible. But also, Star Wars has always been political. Star Wars Explained actually put out a really good video, and I almost want to just like put a clip of him in it because he says something along the lines of like, Star Wars has always been political in its messaging. Some of you have just stopped listening.
And some of you are finally waking up because Disney was like, hey, you don't understand. I shouldn't even say Disney. It's not Disney doing this. It's the writers. Disney's allowing it, but they are basically saying we are going to be so ham-fisted with some of this imagery that some of you will finally understand.
For sure.
Just
credit to the writers and frick the Mick.
Frick the Mick, you bet. And we just want to finish out this episode here, guys, by giving our patrons a huge thanks. Thank you guys all for supporting us. Make sure that you guys support us over on Patreon for $5 a month so you guys can get access to our riffs at the beginning of the episode, get more awesome things like giveaways, gaming events, and higher quality content. It is due to your support that we can make this happen. This gives you access to all that bonus content, discounts to our Etsy store, and we're also going to be partnering with some other brands as well. But we're making moves here, guys. We're very, very excited about it. If you guys don't have the money to support us financially, please make sure you guys watch this on YouTube, like the video, comment, and share it with a friend. That engagement boosts the video so that others can find us. A lot of the times we're still a small channel and YouTube doesn't even push out our videos. If you guys are listening to this over on Spotify or Apple, leave a 5-star review so that we get recommended to others. Huge thanks, Mike, Isaac, David, and Calmbrew. You guys are the best. Until next time, may the Force be with you.